Hey, what's up, filmmakers, cohorts? We're back. Thanks for hanging in there. So, okay, I want to introduce you to the word plot. Not like a plot of land, but you may have heard it if you're already a writer. The term plot, P-L-O-T. Um, to plot means to navigate through the dangerous terrain of story, and when confronted by a dozen branching possibilities, to choose the correct path. Plot is the writer's choice of events and their design in time. Okay, so there's this through line within your script, which is the story. How you design that is how you is your plot. Your plot, it's how you select what to include and what to exclude, because there's a lot of unimportant things that happen in life that we don't have to include in a movie. We just want the important stuff, the stuff that's going to point right back to the story, okay? Which is the turning of those events in the character's life, okay? So we want to have, how I say it, we want to have insight into the character's life. We want to have insight into what they're thinking, so to speak, and who they are. Now, in a book, he writes on page 43, the novelist can directly invade thought and feelings to dramatize the tale entirely on the landscape of the protagonist's inner life. For the screenwriter, such stories are far most fragile and difficult. We cannot drive a camera lens through an actor's forehead and photograph his thoughts. Somehow, we must leave the audience to interpret the inner life from the outer behavior without loading the soundtrack with exhibitional narration or stuffing the mouths of characters and self-explanatory dialogue. Okay? There's exposition again, right? We don't want that exposition to be and that self-explanatory dialogue or having to rely on a voiceover to explain what your main character is thinking, and to get that inside look. We want to rely on action. Okay? This is where plotting comes in. Your plot and selecting those right events. Because nothing gives us insight into your character better than what they would do in the face of adversity. What do they do when things are going wrong? Okay? Oops, I think I lost my page. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, so plotting. We have variations of event designs, and there are no limits to them. So how can we conceptualize, or how can we think about this plot, your plot? Okay, we have to know a couple of, say, anchor points, and Robert McKee calls it the story triangle. Okay, and this has to do with the design of your story. At the top, or it's the triangle. Just think of a regular triangle. And at the top of the triangle is classical design, the arc plot, right? Now, down at the corner is anti-plot, or the anti-structure film, okay? And over here in this corner, we have the mini plot or minimalism. Okay? Now, through, I say, dominant cinema, American cinema, the dominant type of story design that has dominated the box office has been the classical design. And here are some of the qualities of classical design. Causality. One thing causes another thing. There's a closed ending. That means at the end of the movie, all the business that has been sort of brought up throughout the conflicts throughout the movie have been resolved. It's linear in time, meaning it starts at the beginning and it follows a timeline and ends, as opposed to, let's say, the ending is at the beginning and then we skip through time and see different various phases of the story, but in different orders. That's non-linear. So classical design is linear. It's straight storytelling. The conflict is mainly external as opposed to internal. The conflict is external. It's outside of the protagonist. There's another antagonist, like another person, another force outside of them that's preventing them from achieving their goals. There's a single protagonist as opposed to a group of protagonists, which is possible. The reality is consistent. You know, because remember, in film, you're controlling that world and you can make up the rules. So you can make up what's real and unreal. As in something like The Matrix. Okay, he's zipping around bullets and stuff, right? You get to make up those rules. So there's a consistent reality. There's an active protagonist. What does that mean? That means your protagonist is actively seeking the solution. He's like, what do I do next? I'm going to go over here and do this. Okay, now what do I do? I'm going to go over here and do that. And then this happens. Okay, as opposed to, I'm going to wait and see what happens to me. And then based off of what happens to me, I'm just going to go with the flow. Okay. Now in anti-plot, right, there's anti-structure. And that's a different design of story, or of plotting. Okay? The anti-plot, it's based on it's earmarked, one of its qualities is coincidence. Things happen coincidentally, as opposed to cause and effect. There's non-linear time, meaning things don't happen in a straightforward manner. They jump around. There's inconsistent realities. Okay? Minimalism is mini plot. This is the third of the triangle. And the qualities of minimalism is there's an open ending, internal conflict, multi-protagonists, meaning there's several. Think of Ocean's 11, they have multi-protagonists. The passive protagonist. The protagonist sits back and waits to see what happens to him. The drama comes to him. Okay? That's the minimal plot. And that's the story triangle. Somewhere within that triangle is your story. Is your story design. Is your plot. Okay? And there are differences within the plot triangle, the story triangle. All right. Chew on that for a while. I'll see you on the next video, and we're going to go more into this idea of story design and the plot. All right.